And I remember thinking, I'm about to beat this bitch up.
What's good, y'all? This is Chanel from NYC, and today we're gonna get into some things. We're gonna talk about Jameela Jamil and her wokeness, her activism, her feminism, and what that seems to mean for her. This is not a drag fest. I don't dislike her. I don't even hate her. I'm just confused, and I just have some questions. I am concerned. The first time I ever heard about Jameela Jamil was from The Good Place, which I love. Outside of the show, I don't really know her work, but I know that she uses her voice in a good way. I know that in the past she's talked about how she's dealt with eating disorders during her modeling days, and I just appreciate anybody who's willing to share their story and use their voice to help others. You really can't be mad at that. However, putting that to the side, over time, Jameela, I feel like she's gone a bit far with her wokeness. Sometimes it can actually be quite off-putting and push people away from wanting to listen in the first place. It's just like, girl, you doing too much, I'ma just slide over here. When you establish yourself as a very, very woke person, I feel like you're bound to screw up eventually. Sometimes being quiet and just listening, observing, and just hearing other people is very necessary to being part of the change you want to see. If you're not listening and being mindful of the space that you're taking up, you are not helping. You're not even woke. You sleep. You napping. So let's start off with the most recent situation. This happened in late September, had everybody talking for like 3 days. So Jameela posted a selfie. A fan commented like, girl, you look so good. Your skin is so perfect. Instead of just saying thank you, Jameela chose to do the most. She said, and I quote, "My skin is currently clear because A, privileged people have more access to good quality nutrition, and also our lives are significantly less stressful than the lives of those with less privilege. I also get to sleep more because of this. All of these things keep my hormones in balance, and I'm able to address food intolerances easily. B, I believe that trans rights are human rights. C, I exfoliate twice a week." Okay, so look, I see where she's coming from. Me personally, I remember seeing a picture of Jhené Aiko a year or two ago. She's gorgeous. Everybody knows this. She has great skin. Jhené Aiko is 32 years old, but if you did not know who she was, she could play a college freshman or like a high school senior in the movie because she just looks so young. I remember looking at her and feeling like, dang, I wish my skin could look that good. I wish my skin could be that clear. And then Jhené posted all the treatments that she gets done. And I was like, oh, like duh, of course she looks good because she has resources and access to these things, and I don't, because I don't have Jhené Aiko money, but I sure would like it. So I understand where Jameela was coming from. But here's something that Jameela could have said. She could have said, "Thank you for your compliment, darling. I just happen to be in a position where I have access to things that help make my skin look good. I'm sure you're perfect," heart emoji. That would show gratitude to the fan for her comment. Let her know, like, you know, I appreciate it, but I'm not perfect. Trust me, I get treatments, and I'm sure you're gorgeous, because that's her brand anyway. What was that? If Jameela's intention was to show gratitude and uplift others, it was not clear. Secondly, her mentioning that trans rights are human rights just didn't feel appropriate in the moment. Are trans rights human rights? You damn skippy. I totally believe that 100%. But I'm not a fan of people throwing statements like that in out of context. It kind of reminds me of when people at the height of the protests were throwing around memes and like putting Breonna Taylor's name in it. Like they would be like, oh, swipe for nudes, and then you would swipe and it's like arrested cops who killed Breonna Taylor, and I'm just like, thank you, but no. Like, I just, like, let's just have like posts dedicated to that. Let's not just throw it in the mix. It's not parsley. I do think that it's well intentioned, but I feel like it kind of cheapens the movement for me. It feels disingenuous, kind of like a mockery. Now, like I said, Jameela has dealt with eating disorders in the past, particularly during her modeling days, and she's spoken publicly about it seems like for her whole career. And again, I like the fact that she's open with it. I like the fact that she's transparent and she's not one to mince words. So in the past, she's come for the Kardashians, like Kim, Khloe, a few other people, and I get it because I think Kim Kardashian posted a picture of her with like a diet lollipop or something, and it was supposed to suppress hunger. And it's like, Kim, you're mad wealthy. Like, do you really need to accept every single sponsorship that comes your way? Like, be mindful of your audience, because people do generally look up to Kim Kardashian. I am not one of them, and I never have been and never will be, but there are young people who do see that, you know, but that's a story for another day. So I agree with Jameela in that sense. She's come for Cardi, she's come for Amber Rose for promoting the flat tummy tea, which the fact that people still promote that and buy it is beyond me, but whatever. However, Jameela's intense way of calling people out is a little off-putting. One big thing about the flat tummy tea is that it has a laxative-like effect to it. So as much as you're downing this tea to get your flat tummy, you're gonna be on that toilet. That's pretty much the effect that it has on you, and that's how you quote-unquote get your flat tummy. So to come at Cardi for sharing this and promoting this, she was like how she hopes that Cardi poops her pants, and like, I get it. And you know how Cardi is. She was like, if I poop my pants, I'ma just poop in a bush or something. Like, I was just like, okay, girl, like, whatever. I just don't think that her energy is always appropriate for every situation. Like, to get people on your side and to rock with you, I'm good on that. So 2019 was quite a busy year for Jameela. In November of last year, Cupcakke, who's a female rapper, she's dope. If you like the song WAP by Megan and Cardi, I suggest you check her out because she's dope. I stan. But anyway, she did a water fast for about a month. She was like off social media. She came back after a month. It was like, look at my body. I lost some weight. I lost some inches. Check me out. What's really good. And she was feeling herself. Jameela took it upon herself to come for Cupcakke. I understand why she felt the need to do so because, again, remember Jameela's past. A water fast is not very safe to do. And if you do it, that's definitely something you should talk about with a doctor. You shouldn't just do it all willy-nilly, and definitely not for a whole month. That's not really safe. But Cupcakke was just sharing her experience. Perhaps she struggled with her weight and maybe her body image, and she wanted to see herself get a little slim, and that's the option she chose. Anyone who might see Cupcakke's post might think, oh, she look like a snack. I want to look like a snack too. Let me do that. Let me try it. And it's not really safe to do. So I understand why Jameela said that. However, she didn't know, but Cupcakke had actually been struggling with her mental health quite a bit. And the manner that Jameela chose to call her out was honestly just doing the most. She later apologized, which I do appreciate when she takes a chance to apologize, because some people, they just think they're above, taking accountability for their actions and the things that they said. But it's kind of like, the damage has already kind of been done. Here's one of my favorites. I almost forgot about this. So around October or September of last year, Ellen DeGeneres was pictured attending a sporting event with her wife, Portia, along with George Bush and his wife, Laura. So it's 4 people, gang gang. They're in a picture, they're looking like they're hanging out, laughing, vibing, all that. And we're just like, sis, like, Ellen, what you doing, girl? Mind you, this is before this year. This year is where everything came out about Ellen being wild, being trash. Last year, I'm sure stories were out there, but it wasn't as like a big deal as it was this year, so we were genuinely shocked. The idea of Ellen turning up with a person that people described as a war criminal was shocking. It's just like, Ellen, how could you betray us? Of course, Twitter blows up because that's what Twitter does. So they're dragging Ellen north, south, east, and west, North Pole, South Pole, Polar Express. Here comes Jameela. She jumps to Ellen's defense. She commends her for being incredibly brave in the face of backlash and defending her friendship, because Ellen was like, I don't have to explain nothing to y'all. He's my friend, whatever. And everybody was just like, it was just like back and forth, right? Okay. First of all, Jameela, you're acting like Ellen overcame an extreme adversity or something. It wasn't that serious. She didn't return from war. She didn't earn a Nobel Peace Prize. It's really not that serious to be using such large words and adjectives to describe her defense of George Bush. Really? Most annoyingly, if that's even a word, she inserted herself into a conversation without knowing the background. Bush was president when I was a kid. And the 2 things that I can remember about his presidency, because I was really young, are the 2008 recession and then the long drawn out war in the Middle East, where Bush claimed that they were looking for weapons of mass destruction, which I haven't heard that term in so long. That's a throwback. Now, her excuse, Jameela's excuse for not knowing really much about him, is that she was so young and didn't learn about these things because she's from England. First of all, Jameela was born in 86. So that means that when 9/11 happened, she was 15. And I know a lot of Americans tend to think that everything revolves around them and it's like, we're American, you should know what's going on here. And I'm not saying that at all. But it was a big deal at the time. And she was 15, she wasn't 7. You know what I'm saying? If it's not happening in your nation, you might feel like, well, it's not really a big deal to me, sis, relax. I just find it weird that she just chose to randomly defend somebody without actually knowing people's reasoning for being upset. I feel like if I'm in that situation, I just want to get the tea. Why are people mad? Do a little Google search. It's not that hard. It's even worse because, again, that's what I said about when you make yourself out to be this uber woke person, you're bound to screw up. Because it's like, okay, sis, you tend to be so vocal with things that don't align with your wokeness and your brand of activism, but you out here defending Ellen DeGeneres or lauding Ellen DeGeneres because she's defending her friendship with George Bush. It's just like, where's your brain cells at, sis? She was embroiled in so much back and forth. By the end of the little debate online, she ended up insulting people by stating that she was too busy changing laws and speaking at the UN and studying feminists to be worried about studying history at that time, which, side note, that would have been a current event, not history, but go off. I know I said that the Ellen DeGeneres one was my favorite, but this one is actually my favorite one. So in February 2020, HBO announced that they will be releasing a reality TV-like series competition thingy called Legendary. This show would focus on competitive voguing. Now, if you're hearing the word voguing and you're seeing Madonna in your head right now, erase that image. That's not what you should be seeing in your head. Voguing is a type of dance or performance that is originally from the ballroom culture. It is important to note that this was created by Black and Latino, gay, and trans people in my favorite city, my hometown of New York City. So when I heard this, I was like, yes, let's go. We have a budget, HBO budget, we love to see it. Let's get some rightful spotlight for this culture, for this scene. As a competition, which is what this show is, we need judges. Yes or no? Yes. Okay. This is where Jameela comes into play. Many people were not feeling her as a judge because she's not Black and or LGBT. Then she ended up coming out on Twitter. She didn't want to, so I do feel a bit bad. I don't want people to come out before they're ready. She came out as queer on Twitter. Now, from what I've seen, because I have the privilege of not having to ever come out, it is not easy. It's a different experience for everybody. But let me just say this, and I hope I'm not crossing any boundaries here. I don't know that she even needed to come out, especially because for one, she didn't seem ready to come out. But more than that, I was confused about her being casted as a judge before she came out. And then when she stated that she was queer, I was still confused because I'm like, okay, you're living your truth and I'm here for it. But the casting still doesn't make sense. It felt very random and odd. I want to see somebody on the judges panel who is knowledgeable about the lifestyle, who has been a part of the scene in some respect. I don't want it to feel like this is a circus and you're just a spectator. I want somebody who can appreciate it and enjoy it, but has also been around the block a few times. For my people who've watched RuPaul's Drag Race, it reminds me, I think, was it Vanessa Hudgens, I think. She was a guest. I forgot what season she was a guest, but she was a guest on RuPaul's Drag Race one season. And I could have sworn there was like this line. She was like, yeah, I'm like really into like voguing right now. And I was like, okay, girl, like this is kind of weird, but go off. That's the vibe it kind of gives me, you know? Jameela later stated that she knows the fact that she's queer should not just earn her a judge's seat, which I'm glad she understands that, but that she has the privilege and power and a large following to bring to this show. That's what she said. Those are her words, not mine. I honestly feel like Jameela has a very strange relationship with privilege. A lot of people have privilege. I just stated how I have privilege. I've never had to come out before. I do remind myself of my privileges, but I do it in my head. Like when I'm thinking about how I move in the world and the space that I might take up when I'm in certain situations. Why is she always telling us about the privilege that she has and not just internalizing it and like using it to guide herself through this world? It's lost on me. My thing with Jameela in general is that she's either doing way too much or not enough. When it comes to valid issues, she goes so hard and so far, and it's just like, girl, can you just sit down and use your indoor voice? Why do we have to attack? That's how I kind of feel about the whole thing with Cardi and the Kardashians and Cupcakke and all that. It especially confuses me when the person that she's coming for isn't even doing the most. Like, they're not even wilding, and she's like, I hope you poop your pants. And it's just like, why? Like, you just saying the most outlandish things. You could probably get your point across and make people wake up without saying the silliest things. It's just like, now people are just gonna know you as the girl who wants Cardi to poop her pants. Like, is that what you wanted, Jameela? I don't think so. There's always a better approach. Then there's times where she's trying to establish herself as an ally, and it's just like, that's all we get. Like with the Legendary thing. So you came out, probably not what you wanted to do, but you came out and you're like, okay, I know just because I'm queer doesn't mean I should be on this show, but like, I do have privilege. And it's like, yeah, girl, we know. Okay. I think what would do Jameela some good is to have actual conversations and experiences with people from different walks of life, like genuine ones. I don't want it to be televised. I don't want to see it. I don't want her to tell us about it. I don't want her to report on it. Just listen and really hear what people have to say. I read a critique of her and her brand of activism and feminism, and they called it dated. And I agree. It's very much giving us 2014, 2015 energy. Kind of reminds me of when Beyonce came out with her Beyonce album in 2013 and everybody was writing think pieces on, you know, that whole album. We are past that. At this point, the intersections are vast, and I'm just not sure if she's aware of that. Her voice and her presence should not be diminished. I don't want her to be quiet. I just want her to fine-tune what she says and how she thinks. Whew. If you stuck around this long, as always, you're a real one and I appreciate you. I'm curious to hear what you think, or read what you think rather. Do you know of any other celebrities who are similar to Jameela in this way? Do you know of any celebrities who were and changed? As always, thank you for listening and I'll see you next time.